we'll start the conversation with Stellar Blade because I feel like that's the most obvious one right now. So for the past week, I mean, the entire internet has been going nuts over the fact that Stellar Blade is censored after they said that they were not going to be censored in the entire world. Obviously, that came out to not be true. You got people from all sides chiming in, you know, some genuine, some disingenuous. And it's an interesting argument because it shows that certain people like to say that they're against censorship. And, you know, to drop a couple of names, I mean, we got Mighty Keith over on YouTube, who I had a back and forth with. You know, he flat out said he would prefer there was no censorship, and then literally in the next sentence said, well, I'm okay if they censor 10-20% titty, which is interesting. So like I said, we have genuine, disingenuous conversations going on. The overall take right now from the panel, and you guys can chime in. What do you think about the censorship for Stellar Blade? Big deal, not big deal? Be honest.
It's a big deal.
What do you think?
It is a big deal because they said they wouldn't. It was one of the things that made people get behind the game. The fact that it was just totally defiant of all the woke stuff. And there's no way this wasn't premeditated because you can't make a change like that damn quickly in the release window. It never happens like that, so it was all planned from the start, and for the dumbest reasons.
It's censorship. Whenever it's censorship, it's whether it's small or big, it's censorship. There is no little dead or completely dead. So censorship is not okay.
Well, no, you know, I mean, things get censored all the time, but stuff doesn't get advertised to you as uncensored and then immediately get censored.
Exactly.
I think this is people at Sony. They may have had the plan to do that all the time, but the developer, that's why I'm separating this from the developers. I believe Sony, when they saw all of the discourse online, and I think there's people in Sony who are like, oh yeah, y'all think y'all getting this, but we finna shut that down.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean that the developer was planning to censor it. Not at all. No.
Okay. Yeah, I truly believe that there are people in high places who are just that petty to where they would let you get, okay, this is what you guys really want. We're going to wait till the day of the game to be released or the day before, and then we're going to censor everything you thought you were getting before.
They hate us. That's why. It's just malice.
What did they
can't let us win anything.
Does anybody have confirmation on if the other versions of the game elsewhere, like let's say if you got the game in Japan, right? Is that also, does that have did they change those suits like on for Eve? Does anybody know that? Is there any confirmation on that?
The only thing that I do know is that the actual disc you get is not censored. That's how I know.
Right, but my question is, and where I wonder is if this was a worldwide type of thing, or was it more localized to us? Right.
I think it's based more on a patch. Because I noticed Grums was talking about it, and he said that like it seems like the original version, like sometimes the physical CD copies do have uncensored versions, but also some like 1.0 pre-patch versions seem to have it uncensored in other countries. In America though, like the digital one, it seems like it's not the case.
Well, just to chime in really quick. So I can't find it, but I remember seeing a post on Twitter of somebody from Australia who picked up the game and the disc had 1.2 on it, but everybody who I can see on the American side had 1.0 on it.
Yeah.
And like I said, that was only one person in Australia.
Mike
so
is giving feedback. I think
it's Wyatt. It's Wyatt.
Yeah.
Wyatt, mute yourself until you talk. So that was just one person in Australia. Like I don't know if that was everybody, but everybody from what I can see on the American side who has a disc version. I mean, Cassie did it. Also Philip over at Project A-Roll. Everybody who had a physical, me too. Everybody who had a physical, it was always 1.0 on those discs, at least on our side anyway.
So in other words, I need to go and get mine right now, huh?
Yeah, because I mean, I bought the disc for that particular reason, just to kind of check. And that's what it is. So, and just to kind of piggyback on the convo and let you guys take over again, because I'm literally dying. The Stellar Blade conversation, I feel like, it would definitely be a big deal. Don't get me wrong, but I think this post right here is what makes it a really massive deal. I think that if it wasn't for this post, if you didn't come out literally a week before the game released and said it was going to be uncensored everywhere, I think, yeah, you'll have people complaining once they found out, oh, you know, this didn't look like the trailer, this didn't look like this. Sure, there'll still be a conversation on censorship, but the fact is you flat out lied. You lied. Yeah. You got caught lying. And then I don't know if the translation was correct, because I'm getting different reports of people saying that the director said that, 1.2 was his initial design, but then I saw other translations saying, no, the disc version 1.0 was his design, and that 1.2 was in fact the censorship. I don't know which way it goes, but I'm kind of leaning towards 1.0 was probably his design, because you have people saying, oh, you know, games get patched all the time, they try to gaslight you. It's like, yeah, that's fine, but what we're saying is the final build of the game had uncensored outfits, and you patching it to 1.2 clearly shows censored outfits, so you can't then have this comment be true. And that's where people are really getting pissed off, is this comment right here.
It's stupid to say so, right? And it makes no sense. By dropping this comment, you make people more alert of this so closely, also before of the release. It's clearly that people, when they see this, they're like, oh, maybe I should look if that's actually true. Like they could have released that a bit, you know, earlier, or cover it up with some other news. They did it also in a very sloppy way.
Well, Coach, you also gotta think about one thing. I'm sorry. One thing is that think about it like this. There's no fucking reason for this tweet to exist, right? There's no reason for Stellar Blade to tell you that the game is uncensored everywhere, unless they wanted you to know that the game was uncensored everywhere. It was part of the marketing ploy for the game, because they knew the discourse around it. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
But that's the thing about the language here. I think that's very important. That's why I asked the question of, okay, are we talking about it being censored in certain, let's say, Western countries or what have you, or is it a worldwide thing? The thing that they're going to fall back on is if they release the same damn version, even if it is different, let's say some of the suits are different, what they're going to fall back on is, well, it was the version that was intended to be released and it went everywhere. Now, could you make the argument, or most people are going to make the argument that, well, this looks different from this, then yeah, but it is a worldwide release at the end of the day, which is what's so intriguing about this conversation here. Because what I don't really understand is, like, okay, who did it come from, right? I mean, we're always going to lean towards Sony, and just understanding that when you're dealing with publishers, especially one that's a mammoth like that, I could very well envision a world where they bait and switch their ass, like 100%. I can see that being true, where there was like, they maybe went into it, and then at that point, let's see, depending on how far along the game was,
they've proven this many times. right. So it's like how far along the game is. Do you bite the bullet? Do you say, okay, I want this game out, this has been a lifelong dream for us, we love this, we want to make sure that everybody sees it, we're going to bite the bullet and do this because Sony is demanding of us now? And again, who knows the contracts, right? Can they actually explicitly state that? Like, because obviously that's what we want to hear. That would nullify this tomorrow if they came out and was like, well, Sony forced our hand, but contractually probably they can't even say that.
No way.
So you think that the developers basically were trying to allude to that with this tweet?
I don't know.
Like, maybe they were trying.
I don't think it was that. I don't. I think they were trying to get ahead of it. If anything, I'd argue that, and that's why I said, is it the same release worldwide? If it is, technically, this is not a false statement. Technically. Because it is explicitly, he's basically saying that, or Stellar Blade, the post is essentially saying that it's semantically,
if you put it this way, yes, but that's a play on words here.
Exactly,
it's crazy.
Exactly, and that's why I think that maybe their hands maybe got forced. And look, we have a history of Sony doing this type of shit, right? So it's not like there's no precedent being set. But man, I would love to. Maybe it probably won't happen until like 5 years from now, when these developers finally say, look, we went into it with one idea, Sony kind of forced our hand and we had to do it. But I know they can't say that. And Sony will cover their ass anyway. They're smart enough to know that, you know, you can't go out and say that. So that's what sucks. And
I want to point out that Sony allowed them to advertise this shit that way. That's why I'm telling you, I believe
it was a bait switch.
There are people up there that are so fucking petty. Like people be thinking I'm playing when I say the little Gamergate situation is an actual war. There's people up in high places that saw everybody celebrating this game, and they were thinking to themselves, "Wait, bitch, wait, we
for sure." Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Yeah. Sony
So here's the question: then, are you going to see gamers and creators like shy away from Sony altogether?
Nope.
No,
I mean,
too big.
I
Man.
have.
It's too big.
I mean,
have you seen PlayStation fans?
I mean, I'm a career PS guy.
It doesn't matter how
Have you
many
seen
times,
Cage's fans?
It doesn't matter how many times I say, because I don't believe in blocking people. It doesn't mean unless you want some Rainbow Warrior shit that's just weird. But there's no how many times. It doesn't matter how many times I say I'm uninterested in seeing this guy's tweets. It's like this red dragon fucker and all of those other PlayStation like zombies. They just appear in your feed and they like Xbox could shut down today and they will manufacture some negative Xbox news. It's like, bro, what? So no, they're gonna keep playing PlayStation stuff. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm looking more and more at being just a PC guy.